Everybody who has a house, whether you rent a house, whether you grow up in a house, whether you lease or own a home, the issue of landscape is something that confronts all of us, and what do you do with that landscape? And the idea of it being harmonious to the house and a connection to the house is not something people always think about. But when they come here, it's an opportunity to step back and examine how important that is.
And see how that's coming there. Do it in a design that's compatible with, I think, the design spirit the house was done in sort of Japanese influence. But in this thing, we want to expose the clinker brick and the arroyo stones.
We are so extremely fortunate to have John Honack as our ornamental pruner, and we've had John for a number of years. John has really taken on the task of helping us interpret the house and the landscape and marrying the two. John understands that the house is a very special organic being.
He's using this kind of right brain, left brain synergy to interpret landscape. And when you think of what he's done on the creeping ficus here, the meticulous nature of how he's sculpted it back. When I became a docent in 1990, the ficus was so thick, all the gunite was covered. The arches that are outside the living room here were completely disguised. I didn't even know they were there until John started to prune them back. And in typical John style, it took months and months and months. And John we used to kind of joke about it, he would step away and consider every cut. And I used to think, God, we're paying him by the hour. It didn't matter because it was great stuff.
He is an artist, and the way he approaches the creeping fig is, to me, fascinating.
And these kind of mimic windswept pines on a mountain in Japan or China. You can find shapes that work with whatever plants you have.
This is currently a docent-only training, and we're kind of using this as a pilot program to see how John likes instructing people, what the docents are getting out of it. You know, I think ornamental pruning is a lost art.
Loosen this and then tighten it somewhat right here so it tightens up if it loosens. Mm-hmm. I mean, I enjoy teaching now, and anything you do, if you like it, it doesn't take patience. Don't do something that takes patience. Do something that you like to do. You just start doing it, and there's no patience involved.
So I think anything that's going on with the landscape is part of our mission statement. It's an outreach to the community. The junior docents will come occasionally, and John's working, and the kids will say, "What are you doing?" And he'll stop, and he'll tell them, and he'll teach them, he'll show them what he's doing. And it's kind of a great aha moment for those kids. You've got this guy with the clippers spending an hour considering the leaf that he's going to take off and throw over his shoulder. I think it's part of the experience of visiting the Gamble House. That's the best you could ask for in a living museum like this.
But the guys that are really into real bonsai, a lot of them will go into the mountains and just take hikes up where the things have been in the weather and get, if nothing else, infused with the ambiance. And again, look at it, you know, what's exposed, what isn't. And one of the tricks when I was doing bonsai, and this master said, this guy brought in a beautiful juniper he was doing and said, "What can I do to improve that?" And the master went in and just started ripping and tearing it. What it was is the guy had it so full, you know, it was really nice from quality of foliage, but the shape. And he opened it up and he says, "Make it so it looks like the birds can fly through."
Oh, good
And
analogy.
so that's another one of those things to think about. Taking time to stand back, look at what's going on at the picture you're painting, because you really can not see the forest for the trees in situations like this, especially when you're trying to do a panoramic sort of thing. That's one reason the Japanese do such fiendishly wonderful things, is they practice under some master for a long time and then become really good at it.
And in doing so, John, will you be taking more off the bottom to give it that kind of bonsai?
And there's more need for practical things. I mean, it's just like, I really love photography, done a lot of it, but I never use Photoshop. I mean, I see why people do. It's perfectly legitimate and stuff. But I like taking pictures where I found something that was so interesting and that it was up to me to frame it properly.
That's what John does, is he makes his art look easy. His landscape is art. We're happy to be able to see the detail here. And I mean, this is a living, breathing thing that's been here for 100 years.
I love it when he's here, when there's guests around, and he sort of melts in with the landscape. He's sort of just there. And it's so Zen-like. It's so relaxing and calming.
I like doing what I'm doing here. I'm doing what I'm doing on the walls now. I've never done before, and it's sort of going to be a Asian tableau, with the trees. And I'm doing some of the bottom part is I'm clipping so that ultimately it'll look like hills that the trees are on, but it's mostly two-dimensional. But it's also pictorial, it's also sculptural, and to me, it's jewelry too. It's just what materials I'm using.
You remember this was a Midwestern family who came to California in the dead of winter and saw this paradise. And so this house partakes of every aspect of that. And so that indoor-outdoor feel that then would become so sophisticated when materials made it possible to really erase the boundaries. I think Green were pioneering a lot of that right here.
And when you think about the way arts and crafts is designed, it's all frames, like, mats on a picture. All the windows, room to room, you see them. I mean, it frames the thing, and framing is everything. That's what framing does, is it takes things that we take for granted and gives it the level of import it's capable of having. It expands our consciousness. One of the things that gets you into art is the fact that, you have this innate splattered sort of curiosity about everything, the way it looks, the way it goes together. You see colors, and I see some colors, and they almost are flavors.
The people living in this house wanted to be in harmony with nature, and they wanted colors that inspired nature and calm and all those other things. So I think we just have this amazing opportunity in the house as it exists to offer that to the public.
And I've gotten to the point where I just, meditation, I got into Zen and Buddhism, and I just I'm just going to keep all the doors and all the windows open all the time.